morning, good afternoon, and good night, depending on where you're watching this video from. My name is Kenechukwu, and you are welcome to Teach platform. So, in this video, I'm going to be teaching us the first 20 elements, as you can see on the board. You can see you have the elements, the Latin names, the nicknames, and then finally the symbols. My reason for teaching this topic is because I found out that many students, including those ones in senior secondary school, those ones who are writing WAEC, can actually say the first 20 elements from number 1 to 20, and this is quite discouraging because this is the very basic, one of the basics to chemistry. Okay, and in this video, I also want us to be able to memorize the first 20 elements, state the atomic numbers of these elements, and then also when you have been woken up from sleep and you have been asked what element is in has atomic number of 14, you should be able to say it easily without racking your brain so much. Okay, so let's go straight. Now here we have the elements from 1 to 20, and then we have the Latin names as I mentioned earlier, then down to the symbols. Now, before I continue, I made video on this topic earlier, and I thought I posted it. And that's why if you watch some of my videos like the periodic table, electronic configuration, excitation number, and the rest, you see that I will refer you back to this video. Now I will refer you back to this topic. Not knowing that I didn't upload it. I don't know what happened. It's not there. My channel, I have not uploaded it anywhere, and also it is not on my PC. I don't know what happened. So I decided to make this video as a makeup video for that. Okay, and then if you go back to the periodic table, you will notice that I mentioned when I was defining periodic table, I said the periodic table is the table that contains the elements in their order of increasing atomic number. That's it. That's when you put hydrogen, you don't jump to lithium. You continue to helium, lithium down to calcium. And that is to say that calcium has atomic number of 20, nitrogen has atomic number of 7. Boron has atomic number of 5. That is how it is, and that is how it's been arranged in the periodic table. So you have to know this first before you be able to draw the periodic table offhand as I did, right? And also the symbol. I've actually taught the symbols of elements, right? And I mentioned the 3 ways whereby you can actually write this. The 3 ways in which symbols of elements are being used to represent these elements, right? Now let's go straight to writing the symbol, then I now come back to the nicknames, right? Now, the hydrogen is represented with what? Capital letter H. Helium is represented by what? Capital letter H and small letter E. Then we have lithium as capital letter L and small letter I. Then we have beryllium sodium, capital letter N and small letter A. Then we have magnesium, and calcium. Okay, these are representations of these elements here. These are the symbols. Okay. Now, when I was explaining how the symbol elements are being represented, that is in the symbols, I mentioned the first one, representing it with the capital letter of the first letter of the elements. Second one is what? Capital letter or the first letter of the elements, and any other lower case of the number. Like for example, the other lower case of the letter, that is HE. That is how it has been represented. And then lastly, using what? The Latin names. And in the first 20 elements, we have 2 elements that is represented with their Latin names as their what? As their symbols, and which is what? Sodium and potassium. And in the nicknames, the nickname also goes with what? The Latin name. Those ones that have the Latin names. But now let's go to the nicknames. The nickname is quite funny, but it serves a purpose. For example, I will tell you a story behind how I use this nicknames to be able to memorize it. So it happened that when I was in senior secondary school, one that is SS1, I don't know the first 20 elements. And to me, it's embarrassing because it's one of the basics to chemistry. And this is also one of the reasons why many people do not like chemistry. Because of the equation, the 20 elements, memorizing them, and the elements, memorizing them, their formula and the rest. But then, somebody introduced me to somebody who is higher than me in the class, introduced me to what? The nicknames, which is actually in form of a song. And I will give us the song. The purpose of the song is to do what? Make us be able to memorize this thing. That when you are being asked what is the atomic number of phosphine, you easily say it is 8, right? So let's go. We have hold Helen lightly before Bola comes none. Oxygen flower, never name Maggie, and Mustafa, silicon police, sulfur, chlorine, argon, chemical catch. What I've just said now is trash. It's nonsense. It doesn't make sense, right? But now it serves the purpose. The way I'm flowing, the way I flow with it, okay, that's how I was able to know, okay, match them with what? This. I want to repeat again. Please, I didn't formulate this song. I was introduced to it, and then it served the purpose. Okay, and afterwards, in a few weeks later, I was able to now say, okay, aluminium, and then say the first 20 elements without saving the sum. Right? Now, I also know that if you take it seriously, within a few days, you also be able to memorize the first 20 elements. I've done it to a student before. I taught the student, and the student, in less than 1 week, the student is able to say the first 20 elements. If that student is able to do that, you too can also do that too. Okay, so let's start again. The nicknames. I'm going to say the song again, and then we match it with us. The symbols. We have hold. Come to capital letter H. Helen, likely, before, Bola, comes, none. Then oxygen flower, never, name, Maggie, and Mustafa, silicon police, sulfur, chlorine, argon, chemical catch. Now let's go back to elements. Hold, Helen, like you can see likely lithium, helium, helium, beryllium, before, Bola, boron, Bola, right? Then down to calcium, catch. As I mentioned earlier, it doesn't really make sense, but then it serves the purpose. So let me repeat this one again. I will say it 3 more times, and then when you memorize the song, it becomes easier for you to also memorize the names. So I will give a space so I'll be able to see the nicknames and then the elements. So I will start now. Hold Helen lightly before Bola comes now. Oxygen flower, never name Maggie, Mustafa, silicon police, sulfur, chlorine, argon, chemical catch. That sounds nice, right? It sounds nice to the ear, but it's actually nonsense. It sounds nice to the ear, but then it doesn't really make sense. Let me repeat again. Hold Helen lightly before Bola comes none. Oxygen flower, never name Maggie, Mustafa, silicon police, sulfur, chlorine, argon, chemical catch. Again, hold Helen lightly before Bola comes now. Oxygen flower, never name Maggie, Mustafa, silicon police, sulfur, chlorine, argon, chemical catch. I'll repeat again. Hold Helen lightly before Bola comes now. Oxygen flower, never name Maggie, Mustafa, silicon police, sulfur, chlorine, argon, chemical catch. Again, hold Helen lightly before Bola comes now. Oxygen flower, never name Maggie, Mustafa, silicon police, sulfur, chlorine, argon, chemical catch. Now, if you notice, I will say that again. The nicknames now goes with what the ones that have Latin names. Okay, the nickname, the symbol of these ones that have Latin names goes together. For example, natron is the Latin name for sodium, and kalium is the Latin name for potassium. Natron is represented by what? Capital letter N and small letter A. And potassium is represented by what? Capital letter K. Can you see that? Now, go back, play the video again, listen to the nicknames, and use that to match this. I believe within few days, even some people say another one day, like mine, it took me a week or more than a week, right, for me to be able to memorize it, and it became easier for me, and it sticks to my brain up till now. Okay, so if it work for me, work for some of my students. So some of my students took them more than 2 weeks, 3 weeks. That is depending on how serious they are. But it took one of my students that took on personal level. Then in less than 1 week, he was able to memorize this. In fact, he was not able to even say the first 20 elements without even looking at this. And that was wonderful. There was a student that the mother said that he failed chemistry. He failed chemistry because he scored 50 and 53% as his total score. So he was said to fail, he was punished for failing chemistry. And I checked the student, and within 1 month, this student became something else in chemistry.